No.
Hello again. This is Lobster Magnet. And I'm here with my buddy Gorogregoro, and we are here to discuss the amazing Defenders trailer that years ago Marvel had a plan to take their D and C list characters and put them on Netflix so they could eventually join to have their mini Avengers. And we are finally here. We've got the trailer. We finally get to see them team up after seeing poor Rosario Dawson forced to be like, hey, I know a guy in Hell's Kitchen who's has just like you and has superpowers. Oh, I know a guy in Harlem. Oh, I know you, Jessica Jones. You're also in Hell's Kitchen. We finally get to see them together. So, Greg, tell the audience about your history with the Netflix Marvel.
Um, I've seen all of Jessica Jones. I've only seen one episode of Daredevil so far, and the first episode of Daredevil and the first episode of Luke Cage. I haven't seen any Iron Fist at all yet.
So, so you really liked Jessica Jones, right?
Jessica Jones was really, really, really freaking good. Uh,
As of right now, it feels like the rankings for these things is like Jessica Jones is like the most well loved one. Daredevil's second. Luke Cage is third, and Iron Fist is last.
yeah. I'll, that's my I guess that's my understanding of like how it ranked. I actually thought Daredevil was I thought people liked Daredevil more.
People really like Daredevil, but well, there are a few inherent flaws that like these Netflix shows have. They're all kind of too long. They're like 13 episodes too long. There's like a lot of like stalling scenes of just like two people having a conversation you don't really care about. Like nobody really cares about how emotional Karen Page is. But they always have like some sort of virtue that makes up for it. Whatchamacallit. Daredevil has like the really cool ninja fight scenes and martial arts scenes. Jessica Jones has the really good themes, about abuse, rape culture, chauvinism, and misogyny at its core. Heavy stuff that hasn't been tackled by any other superhero thing that most people wouldn't have the balls for it. Well, it's really funny though. I met like a girl who was like a costume designer for like all the Marvel shows, and
Oh,
she talked about how like they all thought that Jessica Jones was going to be the worst because when they were shooting it, it sounded like a complete mess from the script. And she said it was like
really?
a show that was completely saved in post production. And you can kind of see about that. It kind of like bounces around. It's got that subplot with the nuke guy that is kind of weird, and the whole evil agency that created what is it, Kilgrave and whatnot. But Jessica Jones is kind of insufferable. She's got like two notes. It's like, leave me alone. I'm super bitchy, but I still care. And she
Oh.
just does the same thing again and again. I'm bitchy. Leave me alone. I'm
Well,
edgy.
she's understandably, like that. She's, had to be in she was forced into a relationship with Kilgrave, against her will. And,
Oh man, like and like one thing that like elevates like Daredevil and Jessica Jones is they both have really good villains. Like David Tennant, like as Kilgrave, was amazing. He was like simultaneously charismatic and pathetic and petty, and it was just a great performance. He felt
yep.
dangerous and villainous in ways you didn't expect. Um, the Kingpin's also really good too. You should definitely check out the Kingpin and Daredevil. He doesn't come in officially until like episode 4, and they build him up really well.
Yep.
And Vincent D'Onofrio is really good. He plays him like as this like kind of like man child, but like in a man child you haven't really seen before, and that like he always wants control over his life. And like there's this great scene where like some guy busts in when he's having a date with his woman, and it's like then he like slams the guy's head in a door, and he's like, "You embarrassed me in front of her. You embarrassed me." It's basically like an 11-year-old child like trying to pretend, try and impress his like 14-year-old babysitter, and then some other kid, hey, you want to come play Power Rangers? And then he like slams his head in a car door. It's a great scene.
I I think he's probably. I mean, he's still a really good actor. I remember him from things like Full Metal Jacket, and what else did he do? Oh, he
It's
did
kind of has been good stuff.
that one of those Law and Order shows. He was really good on that too. Well,
Um,
Oh.
So they get some good performances out of it, but nobody wants to like sit around listening to Foggy Nelson reminisce about their law days with like Matt Murdock and like, oh, he's got to keep a secret, blah blah blah. That shit's boring. And I guess that's the sort of like I made it through Luke Cage. I powered through, and Luke Cage definitely has some commendable things. Sort of like musical component. The fact that it's got like this great like blaxploitation, sort of modern contemporized version of that. But oh my god, like the villain is like just kind of terrible. Like Marshall Ali does a really good job as Cottonmouth, but like it's a really great performance that's like tailored with like a really dumb script where it's like, you can't really take him seriously because like, the big master criminal mind like has his arms deal shipment taken away by a bunch of street thugs in the first episode. And what's his crowning achievement? No. Oh, he's got $7 million in his little bank that Luke Cage gets rid of. And there are just so many times where it's like, oh, the entire series could be solved just by Luke Cage beating him up. But then, nope, we got to stretch this out. So Luke Cage glares at him and then walks off. And then what's becoming a trend in this is that they'll introduce like a first villain and then they'll have a secondary villain and then Diamondback comes in and he's just awful. He just shoots people and he's dumb. It's like, I really don't like you, Luke Cage, and he doesn't really have a good plan. And Luke Cage has some interesting themes. Like,
is Diamondback like just someone who can shoot people and Luke Cage just doesn't care because he deflects everything? He's invincible.
Well, in Luke Cage, spoiler alert, Diamondback is a special like magical bullet that can shoot Luke Cage, and they spend an entire episode trying to like get the magical bullet out of Luke Cage.
Oh,
so that's him a threat, and he gets like an exosuit at the very end. It's like there are parts in the like Luke Cage where it felt like it clicked, but it took way too long for what needed to happen. And it's also all these fucking Marvel series. They always have hallway fights. They're always fighting guys in the hallway, punching guys in the hallway. There's always a hallway fight. They always have to have a hallway fight. But even for me, who enjoys these series,
even in this trailer, the Defenders trailer had a hallway.
There's a hallway fight. There's always a hallway fight.
Did you see Iron Fist? He jumped off a wall just to punch somebody. In that hallway fight?
Oh my god, yeah, and the Iron Fist has like no virtues whatsoever, and that's a slog. It's like the stupid, it feels like Batman Begins, only with like this guy who's like not particularly likable, and it's not interesting, and I'm gonna make it through it, before the Defenders comes out, because we're gonna do it. But oh man, the Iron Fist deserves every single negative thing it's said about it. It needed something good. Like there was the whole whitewashing controversy, which he wasn't really white. People were just like angry about the fact that he comes from a less enlightened era where it was basically it was like the white savior narrative where the guy goes to a culture and appropriates that culture, and now he's like the kung fu thing, which obviously isn't as well appreciated now or tolerated as much. I mean, he's pretty much what he is in the comic. I mean, he's a D-list character, but unfortunately there's not really much to like elevate him that. It's like just this guy, and it's like, oh, I want to have my corporation. I'm Danny Rand. Oh, could this really be Danny Rand? I don't believe it's Danny Rand. And then there's this stupid guy in this penthouse like, I'm Mr. Evil William Dafoe, like, I'm an evil businessman, and I'm going to do evil businessman things, and you got to do what I say, because I'm the evil businessman. It's like, oh my god, this is so effing boring. This is so boring. You don't have any of the thematics. Oh yeah, and that's Luke Cage. Luke Cage had a really powerful point in the sense that it's a bulletproof black man who wears a hoodie. Obviously, in our post Black Lives Matter, that's a really poignant thing. But Luke, while Jessica Jones wore its themes on its sleeve, things about rape culture, things about misogyny and whatnot, and abuse. Mm-hmm. Like there's some really great abuse metaphors. Like the whole thing about Kilgrave's power tying into it, oh, he can control people's mind, but no one believes him. Just like nobody believes abuse victims. Oh my god, it's great.
It's a brilliant idea for a show.
But Luke Cage doesn't quite have that with any of its villains. Like, who's the villain? Is it like, street thugs and black culture and evil politicians or something? Is it the police, institutional racism in the police, which is kind of covered, but not really? They try and portray the police as like, yeah, we're people of the city, and we're really intense cops, and cops like other cops, and we try to do the best we can. And there's like a little bit like they start hunting him down, but it doesn't quite congeal into something. And then there's like a little bit like incarceration of blacks in prison because they have like a little prison flashback with Luke Cage, but it doesn't quite gel into what it needs to be. But Luke Cage, it's like the kind of thing where like you could see like, oh man, there's some A+ material here to bring out of here, but it doesn't quite hit all the bars it needs. But hey, it's still nice to see Luke Cage like hanging out with Iron Fist. They're like best buddies in the comics.
I mean, yeah, supposedly, yeah.
That's the sort of Avengers factor that, like, it's really cool to see these characters interact, something that we'd never see before. Like, seeing Matt Murdock, come into Jessica Jones, like, don't talk, I'm her lawyer. Like, I got a chill from that. Did you get a chill from that, Greg?
I mean, just seeing Jessica Jones, but I don't really know these other characters that well, because I've only seen one episode of Daredevil.
Matt Murdock is, right?
I know the theory behind him, but I never saw all the seasons. I only saw one episode of
I mean, Daredevil's probably the most famous out of all those characters.
I mean, he's a pretty cool guy. I'll admit. And Luke Cage is also pretty cool. I've known him more so through Jessica Jones than his Luke Cage thing.
Smart, introduce him in through Jessica Jones.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a big deal. Although, you want to hear something interesting, Greg?
What?
So these all take place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? But we're not seeing Thor or Iron Man. They just like name drop them. And it'd be really cool to see Jessica Jones like appear in a movie, but that's never going to happen. Do you want to know why?
Why is that?
So Marvel has a civil war, an internal civil war, and essentially what that happens is Marvel is controlled by Kevin Feige, the Marvel movies. He's like the lead producer. He's the mastermind in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But for the longest time, he was under the control of Bob Iger, who's like this Jewish Israeli billionaire who's like the CEO of Marvel, and he's notoriously difficult to work with. He's like supposedly an ex-Mossad agent. He's a super penny pinching guy. He's like this really like if you were to craft a real life supervillain, you couldn't do a better job than this guy. Like he's a guy who like if he sees like a paperclip in the trash, he'll pick it up and give it back to a person and says, so I don't have to buy you a new one. This is a guy who supposedly like goes to like press junkets in disguise just to make sure they're catering nothing more expensive than Subway.
Okay.
That's who Kevin Feige had to work under, and there was this Marvel Creative Committee, and it was stifling him to the point where he's like, after Phase 3, after my contract's up, I'm done. I'm sick of this. I'm going. I'm leaving. Fuck you. Fuck everyone. And then eventually what Alan Horn, who's like the head of all Disney film, did is he reorganized it so Kevin Feige doesn't have to report to Ike Perlmutter anymore. He's completely autonomous. And you know what?
Which one is the bad guy? The guy who's in charge of this Marvel Cinematic Universe?
No. The bad guy is the guy who's like control of Marvel.
Oh, just all of Marvel?
All of Marvel, yes.
And who is he having a fight with? The people who are in charge of
Kevin Feige, who's the head of the Marvel movies.
Just Marvel movies, and
yes.
Who's in charge of like Defenders then?
So I'm getting into that.
Okay.
It's Marvel Television, which is still under control of Ike Perlmutter, so he has control over all of Marvel Television.
Okay.
So because of that divide between the films and the Ike Perlmutter and the Kevin Feige, that's why there'll be no cooperation. You'll never get to see Daredevil make a cameo in a Marvel movie. You'll never get to see anyone from the movies make a cameo in the TV show.
Would the Marvel Cinematic Universe ever make their own Daredevil?
Probably not.
Really?
They already have the TV show. I don't think they'd make a feature film with like Matthew Cox. He exists. They mention him, but because the ultimate dream would be like when we eventually get the Infinity War, which is like the big culmination of everything the Star Marvel Cinematic Universe has been building, that we get like maybe like a 2-second scene where we see like Daredevil fighting in the streets of like Thanos' minions, and we see Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, and that would make everyone really. That would be awesome, but that's not going to happen.
That'd be so cool.
It would be so cool. It would be so cool. Just like a little 2 second thing, just a little pat in the back. But it's like how Agents of Shield is like, originally Agents of Shield introduced the Inhumans, and the Inhumans were supposed to be a big part of the cinematic universe. But now the Inhumans movie doesn't exist anymore because Kevin Feige doesn't have to deal with it anymore because it was Ike Perlmutter's thing of replacing the X.
Wait, they're not doing the Inhumans show?
No, well, no. Well, there supposedly might be still a TV show, but there was supposed to be an Inhumans movie, but that's like completely been like brushed off the schedule.
Because I know they're doing something. God, what's that thing called? With it's revolving around X-Men. It's like you see the image of like Charles Xavier's son.
Oh
it's
God!
like
Oh
exploding.
God.
Is that something different?
Okay, we'll get into this. So that's Legion.
Yeah, Legion.
It's supposed to be a very good show, but that's controlled by Fox because Fox has all the rights to the X-Men.
Okay, so that's out of discussion in terms of Marvel.
Out of discussion. Completely out of it because ages ago when Marvel was bankrupt, they sold all their best movie rights to their biggest properties for dirt cheap prices because they needed to recoup money for their to like make some kind of money.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
So that's completely separate. Just how Spider-Man used to be separate and might be separate in the future. Yes, I know this is very complicated. All this corporate politics to superheroes, but this is our 21st century landscape. This is what happens when you pay attention to this shit.
Just to be clear, Fox owns all rights to X-Men, and everything else with Marvel is usually owned by Marvel.
Mostly, Spider-Man. Sony technically still owns Spider-Man, although they reached a co-production deal where they're collaborating on the new Spider-Man movie and bringing him into the MC. Although there's rumors that like after like the second sequel to that's when the agreement ends and Sony might try and take him back and try to build their own cinematic universe because they want to do a Venom movie, they want to do a Silver Cat and Black
Sony.
Yeah, they're terrible. They don't know what they're doing. They're miserable making these movies, and hopefully they learn that they.
And also, Fantastic Four is owned by Fox too, as well.
That's owned by Fox too, and they have to make another movie, or else they'll lose the rights to it eventually.
Fuck Fox and fuck Sony.
Yeah, Marvel's the only one doing it right. Even the things where they're not doing it all right is still 10 times better. Like. And Greg, you watched Gotham. You saw other people are doing it.
Is there going to be like a cinematic universe for Gotham? You think?
No. I think it's just a weird stepchild. Well, you're not supposed to be kind of like decent. Like there's like the Greg Berlanti CW superhero universe, which is like growing. That has like Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Arrow. And there's even more shows coming to it.
I don't get the appeal to that at all. I just...
they're charming. They have, like, hot guys, and they're superheroes, and they've got a lot of soap opera, and, The Flash has a lot of heart. And, if DC/Warner Brothers was smart, they'd, like, let the people who are handling that stuff handle their big picture stuff. But they're like, no, we're a filmmaker-driven universe. We let filmmakers make better films. We make adult films like Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman, which we're not even promoting. They're not even promoting Wonder Woman. It's hilarious. Like the Wonder Woman is like completely.
Why wouldn't they promote Wonder Woman? I feel like that's probably going to be one of their better ones, hopefully.
Like some people are like saying it's sexism. My theory is I think they're just waiting for Guardians of the Galaxy to like. Kind of like hit its like 2 week saturation point, and then they're gonna ramp up their media campaign. But like, there's a bunch of articles like saying like it's ridiculous. They have like 14 trailers for Suicide Squad, but they only have like 3 for Wonder Woman. What the fuck? Why aren't you promoting this? Misogyny. Yeah. So, but we'll
I saw a little bit of that posted on Facebook, and I wasn't too sure about that, but. I mean,
it could be one of two things. They could just be holding back, or they think they have a stinker on their hands and they don't want to waste money on it. We'll see.
Maybe.
To me, it seems like it's like they're combining Thor with Captain America, the fish out of water in like the historical time period. I mean, hopefully it works for them.
Mhm.
It'd be nice to have like a movie that doesn't suck in the DCEU, and I'm sorry to say it, but they've all been pretty fucking terrible.
That's true. Every single one.
Yeah, at some point I'm gonna have to force you. Did you see Suicide Squad, Greg?
I did.
You did? When did you see Suicide
I
Squad?
saw it on the plane back from California. It
Let's take
was.
Suicide Squad.
Uh,
We're getting completely off topic, but I have to hear this. I have to
so
get
miserable. It was
Just
so
tell me about Suicide Squad.
it was so miserable. I could have sworn I told you about it.
No, you didn't.
Just like,
And
why was a Joker in this movie? Why was
no reason, and they hyped him up so much. Like Jared Leto's like
he was so bad as a Joker? He's
Jared
a
Leto-
terrible Joker I've almost ever seen in my whole life.
He's just so messed up.
I wanted to throw up after like seeing his performance as Joker.
He's great, and he doesn't do anything.
Harley Quinn was just like really lame too, in my opinion. It's just like, God, why were these characters so hyped up? Like fucking Boomerang Guy. Like, do we need Boomerang Guy to fight an army of
No,
undead
and
and
they, like,
sorceress?
try and make him like, oh, he's so quirky. Oh, he is a unicorn fetish. He's so avant-garde, and it's like, no, Captain Boomerang's shit. Boomerang guy's shit. The guy who can climb anything, Slipknot, who can just die, and the fact, oh, they're so edgy. What do? They fight like faceless, like eye monsters, faceless CGI eye monsters.
Yeah, I'm just like, I feel like I was like only half watching that movie because like I forget so much from it because it was that forgettable, I guess.
It's pretty fucking terrible, and there's like a contingent, because like we live in a tribal society, and you know what, I sort of get it, I understand it. We build our egos and emotions based on the brands we consume, because like we like to like think that we have good taste, and we like to have our taste, and we like our tribalism because it's far easier to like be a fan of something and engage with something than create something on your own, and that's the way build it. It's not like something we should be super proud of, but it's a fact of life. It's no difference between like I'm a Yankees guy, yeah, fuck the Mets. We will always be tribal apes who go into camps, whether it's over religion, whether it's Sony versus PlayStation versus Xbox, whether it's DC versus Marvel. Whether it's liberal versus conservative, we will always be these tribal little monkeys.
Yeah, there's an interesting point about that. I don't know. I like taking from these shows just like they're kind of I don't know. It's just like it feels like whenever like something good comes out of like or bad comes out of these movies, like it's sort of like an evolutionary process, like people building more and more cool stuff like based on that.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I personally would like a DC movie that doesn't suck. Like
Yes.
I think
it's eventually going to happen. There's going to be a DC movie that doesn't suck.
Have you seen Batman vs Superman yet, or you still haven't seen that?
I
yet, right?
saw that and it wasn't actually as bad
When did
as
you see it? I thought we were going to see it together. When did you see it before?
I saw it on the plane to California. I swear I told you this.
No, you didn't.
All right, well, now you know. I saw Batman vs Superman. It wasn't as terrible. It wasn't nearly as terrible as I was expecting it to be, but the end with the whole Martha thing that essentially ruined the whole movie for me.
But it wasn't good. We have dour and dowdy Superman. We have murder Batman, who's just like so fucking bitter. It's a movie that it's like a stupid little edgelord 13-year-old who just assumed
it becomes like super edgelord 13-year-old because like his motivations at the very end just are so flimsy because he changes his mind all of a sudden like, oh, I'm gonna fight with you, Superman. You're my best friend because your mom's name is Martha.
Yeah, it's stupid. Like there's some okay things in it. Like I think Ben Affleck does a good job as Bruce Wayne, even if he is
Yeah,
super
I actually think
Batman.
he's
Do
pretty
you like
good.
Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor? Ooh, Max Landis. I'm Max Landis.
I I actually didn't mind his character that much. I mean, it's just like whatever. He's got like some twisted, stupid ass plan, and the whole thing with like the um, uh, the apple juice, like the piss, and call it like
Yeah, mother's grandma's peach tea.
yes, yes, and the whole scene where she's dramatically turning the jar and Lex Luthor's missing, like that was kind of that was a little bit dramatic. I felt like even as stupid as it was, it had some sense of drama and stakes.
Zack Snyder shoots things well, but it's still like nobody wants a Superman movie where people are protesting Superman and Superman like letting people die and he's terrible and he should be an inspirational figure. At some point, Max Landis wrote this
Yep.
great comic called American Alien. I should
Mm-hmm.
send you the link to it or give you my little chapters of it.
Oh.
And like, there you go. That's how Superman should be relatable. There's something charming about like basically a guy who has all the powers of a god. But what does he want to do with it? He doesn't want to rule everything. He just like wants to get a job and pay rent and have a girlfriend.
Um, I would. I mean, yes, he is that kind of symbol, but I mean, at the same token, I feel like they were trying to take a risk, right? I felt like this kind of risk was an okay thing to do.
This was terrible. This was not a good risk. This was basically like we're fucked. We are like 5 years behind Marvel. Let's throw in this movie that like people were kind of okay with this movie that with the character that we know everyone loves in a desperate bid to try and create something that we did not earn like Marvel
Sure,
did with
sure,
Avengers.
yeah. His character could have been more developed. There could have been more Superman movies leading up to it, like some kind of like depression kind of shit, bullshit, whatever he was dealing with. Sure, yeah, it did feel kind of all rushed. A lot of it, like
None
they're
of
trying to jam pack so much
Superman's
of it.
sacrifice isn't earned. Wonder Woman just throwing in there just for the hell of it is like a complete waste of time. The fact that
Mhm.
we get like Dark Knight Returns, Superman versus Batman fight, and the death of Superman in one movie is just a complete waste.
Yeah, the whole Doomsday thing. I mean,
Seeing
with Superman
Superman
dying as well,
on
is
the
just
screen
fucking
make you as happy
nail in
as
the
seeing like,
coffin.
Daredevil meet up with Jessica Jones because I got legitimate tingle from seeing that.
I I don't have the same tingle because I don't know Daredevil as well.
You've seen him in one episode. That should count for more than the nothing of Batman and Superman.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, I guess. It seemed a little bit kind of awkward interaction at first, but uh, I mean, I like seeing Jessica Jones in there. You know, I recognize Jessica Jones. I also like seeing Luke Cage in there.
Yeah, yeah, and who knows? Maybe Iron Fist's stock will rise up just by proxy of being around characters
Yeah,
people like.
did you see how he jump kicked off that wall and punched somebody, Isaac?
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh my god,
Look
yeah,
how cool that is.
it's so cool. We're gonna get the best hallway fight to end all hallway fights. It's gonna be the supreme hallway fight, the hallway fight made to the one hallway fight to rule them all.
Oh my god. You know, that reminds me of I think there was like something that there's like this one movie which claims is like the best hallway fight ever. You ever seen Old Boy?
Yeah, yeah. The old boy. That was a huge influence of the Daredevil hallway fight. You should watch more Daredevil so you can see Old Boy's hallway fight, which was like a huge influence on Daredevil's hallway fight.
Old Boy was a fantastic movie. I like that movie a lot. Um, but yeah, man, I have to watch Daredevil and Luke Cage at some point, which hopefully isn't just me saying that.
Um,
Yeah,
all right, so I think that was a good overview of the Defenders, and we went off on a great tangent. Looking forward to it. Hope Sigourney Weaver's good as a villain, and hope it's some good shit. It was a promising trailer.
yeah, it might be good. Yeah, it end up being really good.
All right, so let's sign off. Get this video up. It's a pleasure seeing you again. I'm Lobster Magnet, buddies Gorogregoro.
Yep.
Buy my comic Shonen King on Comixology. Read our comic Heart of the Hollow and Tapastic, and watch Greg's stream on Twitch/Gorogregoro.
All right. See you then.